After my illness, my son's wife told me, "You're not strong enough to stay here. Find somewhere else to die." She took my blankets and said, "This room is mine now." My son looked on with empty eyes. My hands shook as I said, "You'll regret throwing me out when you find out who holds the deeds. I'm 64 now. My body's not what it used to be. 2 strokes in the last year. The left side of my face sags slightly when I'm tired. My right leg gives out sometimes. I've lost weight. My hands shake when I'm anxious or cold. But my mind is still sharp. And I remember everything. Every damn sacrifice I made. I raised my son alone. His father took off when he was 10. Left one morning and never came back. No warning, no goodbye, not even a note. Just gone. I had to explain to my boy that sometimes men walk away, and we don't always get to know why. After that, it was just me and Michael. We lived in a rundown duplex in North Charleston. The floors creaked. The heater barely worked. But I made it home. I worked at a gas station during the day and cleaned offices at night. I missed school concerts and ball games. Not because I didn't care, but because I was too busy trying to keep food on the table. I used to leave notes in his lunchbox, stupid little ones like, "Remember who you are," or "You're my favorite reason to wake up." He was always a sweet boy. Quiet. Kind. He struggled in school but tried his best. He never got into trouble. And every time he saw how hard I was working, he'd say, "When I grow up, I'll take care of you. I promise." That promise was everything to me. Years passed. He graduated late but made it through. Worked at a tire shop, then a warehouse, then lost that job and floated for a while. That's when he met Vanessa. She was sharp. Pretty. Assertive in a way that made me uneasy. Not rude exactly, just cold. Always watching, always calculating. But Michael fell hard. Moved in with her 6 months in. Talked about marriage after a year. They didn't have much. She worked reception at a dentist's office. He was doing delivery gigs. They wanted a house, but didn't qualify for a mortgage. So I helped. I had savings. I'd been careful my whole life. No vacations, no new clothes, just slow and steady putting money away. When I found a small house outside Somerville, 2 bedrooms, a little yard, needed work but solid, I bought it outright. I told Michael, "This is for you. A fresh start. You can live here, raise a family if you want. Just keep it up and take care of each other." I never put the house in his name. Maybe I wanted to hold on to some kind of control. Maybe I just didn't want to risk Vanessa. I kept it in my name. I paid the property taxes. Every time something broke, plumbing, AC, roofing, I handled it. Years went by. They got married. No kids, but they seemed steady. I didn't visit much. Vanessa always had a reason to keep it short. "We're tired," or "We're going out," or "The place is a mess." But I didn't push. I figured they needed space. I stayed in my little rental closer to downtown. Then I got sick. First stroke was mild. Lost a little time, slurred some words. But I recovered. Still drove, still cooked. Then the second one hit 6 months later. It was worse. I collapsed in the kitchen and lay there until my neighbor knocked and called 911. I was in rehab for 6 weeks. The doctors said I couldn't live alone anymore, not safely. Michael offered to let me move in. "We'll take care of you, Mama," he said. "Just until you're better." I moved into their spare room. It wasn't big, but it was fine. I brought a few things, my blankets, some framed pictures, my medication. I kept everything neat. I didn't ask for anything extra. I tried to be invisible. But Vanessa, she started changing. At first, she acted like she was doing me a favor. Little comments. "You're not used to sharing space, are you?" Or, "You could help out more if you were stronger." Then it turned into eye rolls. Slamming doors. Whispered arguments with Michael when she thought I couldn't hear. Michael started withdrawing. He'd leave early for work, come back late. Barely looked me in the eye. Then came the day I had another health scare, dizziness, trouble speaking. I ended up back in the hospital for 5 days. When I got out, Michael picked me up, silent the whole ride home. And when we pulled into the driveway, I saw something strange. My blankets were hanging on the porch rail. My framed pictures were in a box by the door. The door to my room, the one I'd been staying in, was closed. When I walked in, my stuff was gone. Vanessa was standing in the hallway, arms crossed. "You're not strong enough to stay here," she said, flat as stone. "Find somewhere else to die." I swear I stopped breathing for a second. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. Just looked at me like I was an old dog taking up space. Like my life had run its course, and I was now someone else's problem. Then she added, "This room is mine now." I turned to my son. He was sitting on the couch, elbows on knees, staring at the floor like a damn stranger. He didn't defend me, didn't argue, didn't even look at me, just sat there. That broke something in me. My hands started shaking. I could barely keep my voice steady. I said, "You'll regret throwing me out when you find out who holds the deeds." Vanessa tilted her head like she didn't understand. But I saw the flicker in Michael's eyes. That house, their house, was never theirs. It's mine. It always was. The deed is in my name. The taxes are in my name. And the papers? Locked in a safe deposit box only I can access. They thought they were done with me. But I'm not done with them. Not even close. I didn't sleep that night. I sat up in the chair in the living room because they didn't even offer me a bed, clutching my purse like it was a life raft. I could hear them whispering in the bedroom. The door shut tight. Michael didn't come out. Vanessa never even looked my way. I stayed quiet, waiting. The next morning, Michael left for work without saying a word. Vanessa walked past me like I wasn't there. She didn't offer coffee, didn't ask how I slept. Just went about her business, humming while she made herself breakfast in my kitchen. I called a cab and went straight to the bank. The manager knew me by name. I'd kept that safe deposit box for over 15 years. Inside was everything: original deed, proof of purchase, tax records, even pictures of the day we signed the papers. I sat in that little private booth staring at the folder for a long time. I could have burned them that day, marched back into that house and kicked them out. But I wanted to be smart, careful. If they were willing to treat me like that in my weakest moment, what else were they willing to do? I made copies of everything, digital and hard. I gave a set to my lawyer, Sheila, who's known me for 30 years. She didn't say much when I told her what happened, just looked at me, then said, "You tell me when you're ready." I wasn't ready yet. Not fully. I went back to the house that night. My few things were in a trash bag by the door. Vanessa stood there, smiling. "You went out without telling anyone. That's not safe," she said like I was a child. Then she added, "We think it's time you looked for a care facility." I asked her, "Did Michael say that?" She just smiled wider. "It's not healthy for you to be here anymore." I turned and walked out. Didn't say another word. For the next 2 weeks, I stayed with a friend, Cora, a woman I knew from church. She had a small guest room and hot tea every night. I started writing everything down. Every word. Every interaction. I pulled credit reports, property records, even looked into whether they'd tried to refinance the house behind my back. Then something happened that lit the fire under me. Cora told me she saw Vanessa at a salon in town, bragging that they were putting the house on the market and planning to move to Florida by summer. She was laughing, said something about getting rid of the old lady before she dropped dead and left a mess. I couldn't believe it. I went online and found the listing. There it was, my house, listed under some cheap real estate agency with pictures of the rooms I once paid to fix, now staged with throw pillows and fake plants. The asking price was nearly double what I'd paid for it back in 2013. They were selling it behind my back. Michael had to be in on it now. No way he didn't know. I called Sheila. We filed a cease and desist through the lawyer's office and contacted the listing agent. Turns out Vanessa had signed papers as if she were the owner. They didn't even check the title closely. That mistake was going to cost them. But the worst part? I found out Vanessa had applied for a home equity loan, again, using forged documents, using my house as collateral. She'd submitted pay stubs, a falsified deed, even a fake while claiming I'd left the house to Michael years ago. They weren't just trying to get rid of me. They were erasing me. And I realized then, this wasn't some snap decision made in anger. This was planned. Little by little over time, they let me move in so I'd let my guard down. They waited for me to get sicker. And when they thought I couldn't fight back, they moved in for the kill. They were going to bury me before I died. And now, I wanted more than justice. I wanted them to feel what I felt, that deep, crawling shame. The kind that doesn't fade when you shut off the lights. I didn't just want the house back. I wanted them exposed. The day the real estate agent called me directly, everything changed. He was nervous. Said he got my contact info from the property records after the cease and desist came through. He kept apologizing, said he thought Michael and Vanessa owned the home. They had seemed legitimate. He even said Vanessa claimed I was a distant aunt who'd passed away 2 years ago and left the house to them in her will. That was the story she'd been telling people, that I was already dead. I sat there in silence, my heart pounding in my ears. The kind of anger that makes your body go cold. This wasn't just about greed anymore. This was full-blown erasure. They wanted to delete me, wipe me out of the story, and cash in. I asked the agent one question. Do you still have the paperwork she gave you? He did. And he agreed to send it all to my lawyer. That's when the truth really started to pour out. Vanessa had forged multiple documents. A quitclaim deed. A false will. Even a letter she claimed I wrote, stating I was leaving the home to my loving son and his devoted wife before entering hospice care. The letter had a shaky, fake signature at the bottom. It was laughable. The date on it? It was supposedly signed 2 weeks after I was hospitalized and barely able to speak. She was sloppy, arrogant, and now legally vulnerable. Sheila told me we had enough to pursue criminal charges for fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. She also said we could take back possession of the house immediately, since I had never signed anything over. Legally, I still owned everything. But that wasn't all. While going through Vanessa's loan applications, the bank's fraud department discovered she'd opened 2 credit cards in my name. She used my social security number, numbers she must have gotten from my hospital files or mail while I was living under her roof. Tens of thousands of dollars. Maxed out. Clothes, electronics, some kind of cosmetic surgery deposit. She'd stolen my identity and used my credit to fund a life she didn't deserve. And Michael? He was listed as a joint applicant on one of the cards. He knew. He didn't just sit by, he signed his name next to hers. That was the real twist. The boy who used to promise to take care of me was now forging my signature, so his wife could buy designer purses and pay for God knows what in Miami. I cried for the first time in weeks that night. Not out of fear, not even out of betrayal, but because I finally accepted that the son I raised was gone. Whatever version of him still existed had made his choice. And now I had to make mine. I didn't want revenge anymore just to feel better. I wanted to protect what I had left of myself. My name, my dignity, my story. And if they wanted war, they were about to find out what it felt like when the woman they tried to erase comes back stronger. The next week, I filed everything. Not just the lawsuit to reclaim full possession of the house, which I already legally owned, but criminal charges through the solicitor's office in Charleston County, fraud, forgery, elder financial abuse, and identity theft. I wasn't playing around anymore. My lawyer, Sheila, submitted every document we'd collected. The forged will, the fake quitclaim deed, the credit card applications, and copies of bank statements showing purchases under my name. She contacted the banks and credit agencies to freeze the accounts and launch formal investigations. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I went back to the house. Not alone. With a sheriff's deputy and a court order. Vanessa answered the door in yoga pants and a t-shirt, holding a cup of coffee like it was just another morning. When she saw the badge, her whole face changed. I didn't speak. I just stepped past her, into the house I paid for, the home I cleaned and fixed and protected. Michael came down the hall, rubbing his eyes like a boy who overslept. When he saw me standing in the living room next to the deputy, he stopped cold. Mom, he started. I held up a hand. Don't, I said. You've done enough. The deputy handed them the order. They had 72 hours to vacate the property. I could see Vanessa's face turning red, jaw twitching, trying to hold back whatever tantrum was brewing. But the papers were real. This wasn't a warning. It was the beginning of the end. Before I left, I said just one more thing. You didn't just steal from me. You spit on everything I gave you. You forgot who helped you, and now the law's going to help me remind you. I walked out of that house with my head up. Over the next month, the fallout came fast. The DA moved forward with charges. Vanessa was arrested first, for fraud, forgery, and identity theft. They found even more forged documents in her home office. Copies of other people's social security numbers, including an elderly neighbor who had dementia. She'd been planning more than just one scam. Michael got dragged into it too. He tried to claim he didn't know, but the credit card with his name on it told a different story. Emails, texts, and voicemails showed he was part of the scheme. Maybe not the mastermind, but still involved. They took plea deals. Vanessa got 5 years with eligibility for parole in 2. Michael got 18 months probation, plus restitution. The judge looked him dead in the eye and said, "You failed your mother in every way." But it wasn't just the courtroom where they fell. Everyone knew. I didn't hide it. I told my story to my church, my neighbors, the community groups I used to volunteer with. People were horrified. Vanessa lost her job at the dental office. Michael couldn't hold down work after the news spread. They moved into a one-bedroom apartment above a liquor store off Dorchester Road. I heard Vanessa try to get a job in Florida, but couldn't pass a background check. Last I heard, they were behind on rent. I took the house back. I hired a local crew to repaint the walls, rip out the furniture she'd picked, and scrub it down. I got my own room again. My own bed. My blankets, real ones, not stuffed in a trash bag. I wake up now and make my own coffee. Sit on the porch and watch the sun come up over the trees. My legs are still weak, but I walk the hallway every day. I breathe easier. I sleep better. I kept every document, every receipt, every court record in a binder on my kitchen shelf. I labeled it reminders. And every now and then, when I hear someone say family always sticks together, I flip that binder open. Because sometimes, family will sell your grave before you're dead. But if you're smart,